Nous célébrons donc cette journée dans un contexte un peu particulier, comme les prédécesseurs l'ont signifié, ce contexte de conflit.
What will happen if the West does not accept Traore as the leader of Burkina Faso? While the West stands against him, 10 nations have recently announced that they recognize Traore as the legitimate leader of the country. This demonstrates how little they care about the West's stance. Whether the West dislikes Traore or not is irrelevant, as no other nations share their opinion. But why is the West spreading hatred against Traore? And will this hostility end anytime soon? Let's find out. On June 28, 2024, Burkina Faso found itself at the center of a defining moment in its diplomatic history. The ornate halls of the presidential palace in Ouagadougou bore witness to a ceremony that resonated far beyond its borders. 10 nations, represented by their ambassadors and dignitaries, gathered to officially recognize Ibrahim Traore as the rightful president of the nation. It was a declaration that carried weight, not just in symbolic terms, but as a testament to Burkina Faso's resilience amidst persistent security challenges and its emerging role in regional diplomacy.
Ce conflit que nous qualifions que autre chose que la manifestation violente, barbare de l'impérialisme, du néocolonialisme, de l'esclavage qu'on tend à nous imposer aujourd'hui.
For Traore, a former military commander turned statesman, the ceremony was more than a validation of his electoral victory. It was a statement of unity and confidence in Burkina Faso's path forward, a path fraught with internal strife and external pressures. The Western powers' reluctance to acknowledge Traore's presidency underscored deeper geopolitical tensions and historical narratives of influence in Africa. Yet, the decision of these 10 nations to stand by Traore sent a clear message. Burkina Faso's sovereignty and its people's democratic choices deserved respect and recognition on the international stage. In the days leading up to the ceremony, speculation swirled among diplomats and analysts alike. Would these nations defy the status quo and endorse Traore despite Western reservations? The answer came unequivocally on that June afternoon. Representatives from countries spanning Africa, Asia, and Latin America stood shoulder to shoulder, applauding as Traore took the podium to address the gathering. Traore said, "This recognition is not just a diplomatic formality. It signifies a new era for Burkina Faso, a time when our sovereignty is honored, our democracy upheld, and our aspirations respected." The applause that followed was as much for Traore's words as it was for the resilience of Burkina Faso itself. The nation had weathered decades of political upheaval, coups, and economic challenges since gaining independence in 1960. Each transition of power, whether through democratic elections or military intervention, tested Burkina Faso's stability and resilience. Now, with Traore at the helm, there was hope that a new chapter of stability and progress could be written. The presence of foreign diplomats from diverse corners of the globe underscored Burkina Faso's growing diplomatic footprint. Gone were the days when the nation's international relations were overshadowed by its internal struggles and regional conflicts. Now, under Traore's leadership, Burkina Faso was reclaiming its voice and asserting its place in the global arena. The Western nations' refusal to recognize Traore stemmed from concerns over electoral transparency and human rights, an issue that had long been a point of contention in African politics. Critics argued that Traore's ascent to power was marred by allegations of voter intimidation and irregularities, echoing broader concerns about democratic processes in the region. Yet, for the nations that stood by Burkina Faso on that day, the focus was on supporting the nation's democratic institutions and honoring its constitutional processes. It reflects their belief in respecting the will of the Burkinabe people and supporting their efforts towards stability and development. And how was the whole ceremony? The atmosphere at the presidential palace was a blend of solemnity and celebration. Ambassadors from Germany, Russia, Algeria, Rwanda, and other nations gathered to present their letters of credence to President Traore. The ceremony, steeped in tradition and diplomatic protocol, showcased Burkina Faso's commitment to hosting such events with grace and hospitality. But why does the West not accept Traore as president? Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. The West's reluctance to accept Ibrahim Traore as president of Burkina Faso is a multifaceted issue, rooted in historical, political, and geopolitical considerations. Traore's rise to power, his governance style, and his strategic alliances have all contributed to the West's wariness. Ibrahim Traore's ascent to the presidency was marked by a series of military coups. First in January 2022, against President Roch Marc Christian Kabore, and then in September 2022, against interim President Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba. These coups disrupted the constitutional order in Burkina Faso, a factor that the West finds particularly troubling. Western nations generally advocate for democratic processes and constitutional governance as the legitimate means of attaining and transferring power. The very nature of Traore's rise, through force rather than through elections, casts a shadow over his legitimacy in the eyes of many Western governments. But why is the West so obsessed with this? That can only be answered by the West. Since assuming power, Traore has exhibited authoritarian tendencies. Reports of banning foreign media and manipulating propaganda have emerged, painting a picture of a leader consolidating power and ending Western manipulation. This authoritarian streak is antithetical to the democratic values that the West champions. The repression of dissent and the stifling of free expression are seen as steps backward in the democratic development of Burkina Faso, further alienating Western allies who view such actions as threats to human rights and democratic stability. They wanted to say things that were not right, and Traore didn't accept it. A significant factor in the West's discomfort with Traore's presidency is his geopolitical realignment. Traore has taken steps to distance Burkina Faso from traditional Western allies, notably France, while forging closer ties with Russia. The expulsion of French forces and the reopening of the Russian embassy are emblematic of this shift. Additionally, Traore's attendance at the Russia-Africa summit underscores his intention to pivot towards Russia. This realignment is problematic for the West, particularly in the context of the broader geopolitical struggle between Western powers and Russia. The West perceives Traore's alignment with Russia as a strategic threat to its influence in the region, potentially undermining its long-standing political and economic interests. Traore's populist rhetoric and ambitious promises have also contributed to Western skepticism. He has pledged to make Burkina Faso self-sufficient in food production, to build a nuclear power plant, and to manufacture electric cars, all lofty goals that many in the West view with skepticism. These promises, while appealing to nationalist and populist sentiments within Burkina Faso, raise problems for the West. Western observers don't want Burkina Faso to be self-reliant. Traore's anti-colonial rhetoric further complicates his relationship with the West. He has called on African leaders to resist manipulation by former imperial powers and to leverage their resources for the continent's prosperity. This stance challenges the traditional power dynamics and economic relationships that have long existed between African nations and Western powers. Traore's calls for independence from Western influence resonate with a broader movement across Africa seeking to reclaim autonomy and assert control over their destinies. However, for the West, this anti-colonial stance represents a direct challenge to its historical and ongoing influence in the region. But while the West hates Traore, why 10 nations have accepted him? Burkina Faso, despite its recent political instability, holds significant interest for various nations due to a combination of its historical democratic governance, rich mineral resources, regional influence, improving relations with neighbors, and active participation in international organizations. These factors make Burkina Faso an attractive partner for nations seeking to invest in and cooperate with a stable West African state. Burkina Faso has a history of relatively stable democratic governance. The country held its first free and open democratic elections in November 2015 and municipal elections in May 2016, with support from USAID. This democratic tradition, despite recent challenges, makes Burkina Faso an appealing partner for nations that prioritize the promotion of democratization and good governance in Africa. Countries such as the United States and various European nations have a vested interest in supporting and maintaining democratic institutions and processes. Democratic governance is often seen as a foundation for stability, economic growth, and human rights, all of which are crucial for sustainable development and international cooperation. Burkina Faso is endowed with a wealth of mineral resources, including gold, manganese, zinc, phosphate, silver, and diamonds, with gold being the major export commodity. The presence of these valuable resources presents substantial economic opportunities for foreign investment and trade partnerships. Gold mining, in particular, has attracted significant interest from multinational mining companies and investors. The economic potential of Burkina Faso's mineral wealth is a strong draw for nations and corporations looking to secure access to these resources. The mining sector not only offers lucrative investment opportunities, but also plays a crucial role in the country's economic development, providing jobs and generating revenue. Burkina Faso is also recognized as a regional power broker in West Africa. Historically, under President Blaise Compaoré, Burkina Faso played a mediating role in political crises in neighboring countries such as Togo and Niger, helping to resolve conflicts and promote stability. This regional influence makes Burkina Faso an important partner for nations with strategic interests in the Sahel region. The ability to act as a stabilizing force in a volatile region is highly valued by nations seeking to maintain peace and security. The Sahel region, which includes countries like Mali, Niger, and Chad, faces numerous challenges, including terrorism, armed conflicts, and humanitarian crises. Burkina Faso's active involvement in regional diplomacy and conflict resolution enhances its strategic importance. In recent years, Burkina Faso has made significant strides in improving relations with its West African neighbors. For example, it has developed closer ties with Ghana, fostering bilateral cooperation in various areas. Additionally, a territorial dispute with Mali was successfully mediated, reducing tensions and promoting peaceful coexistence. Burkina Faso's ability to maintain and enhance cordial regional relationships is attractive to nations that prioritize regional cooperation and integration. Strengthening regional ties contributes to collective security, economic development, and political stability, all of which are essential for sustainable progress in West Africa. Burkina Faso is also an active member of various international organizations, including the Liptako Gourma Authority and the International Criminal Court. Its participation in these bodies facilitates cooperation and engagement with the international community. Membership in such organizations provides Burkina Faso with platforms to voice its interests, collaborate on regional and global issues, and attract development assistance and investment. For nations that value multilateralism and international cooperation, Burkina Faso's active involvement in these organizations is a significant point of interest. It demonstrates the country's commitment to international norms and standards, enhancing its reputation and credibility on the global stage. The international community also has an interest in supporting Burkina Faso's economic development and addressing humanitarian needs. Despite its resource wealth, Burkina Faso faces significant developmental challenges, including poverty, food insecurity, and inadequate infrastructure. Nations and international organizations provide development aid, technical assistance, and humanitarian support to help Burkina Faso overcome these challenges. Economic development not only improves the well-being of the population, but also creates a more stable and prosperous environment, which is beneficial for international partners and investors. But why can't the West value these benefits Burkina Faso has to offer? Despite Burkina Faso's significant potential for partnerships and development, the West's reluctance to accept Ibrahim Traore as president and establish ties with his administration stems from deeper geopolitical and ideological concerns. The crux of the issue lies in international relationships and the West's desire for ties that predominantly benefit its interests. Traore's stance on establishing mutually beneficial, equitable partnerships challenges this paradigm, leading to Western resistance. Historically, Western nations have engaged with developing countries, including those in Africa, through relationships that often favor Western economic and strategic interests. Many African countries, including Burkina Faso, have rich natural resources. Western corporations and governments have historically sought access to these resources under terms that significantly favor them, often at the expense of local economies and communities. This includes mining contracts, trade agreements, and investment deals that prioritize Western profit margins. The West has a vested interest in maintaining political influence over African nations. This influence ensures that African policies align with Western geopolitical strategies, including counterterrorism efforts, regional stability, and economic policies that favor Western markets. Development aid from Western countries often comes with strings attached, including economic reforms and policy changes that align with Western ideologies. These conditions can limit the sovereignty of recipient nations and ensure that aid benefits Western political and economic agendas. Ibrahim Traore's vision for Burkina Faso significantly diverges from this historical approach. Traore seeks to establish mutually beneficial international relationships. This means negotiating deals where Burkina Faso retains a fair share of profits from its natural resources and gains meaningful investments in its development. Traore emphasizes Burkina Faso's sovereignty and the need for self-reliance. This includes reducing dependency on foreign aid and influence, promoting local industries, and harnessing Burkina Faso's resources for national development. Traore's rhetoric and policies are strongly anti-colonial. He encourages African nations to resist neo-colonial influences and to leverage their resources and strategic positions for their prosperity, rather than allowing them to be exploited by former colonial powers and other Western nations. This vision inherently conflicts with the West's traditional approach. By advocating for equitable and mutually beneficial relationships, Traore challenges the status quo where the West enjoys disproportionate benefits from its engagements with African nations. Traore's push for fairer resource deals threatens the existing arrangements that favor Western corporations. By insisting on better terms for Burkina Faso, he challenges the profitability and control that these corporations have historically enjoyed. Traore's emphasis on sovereignty and resistance to Western influence undermines the geopolitical control that Western nations seek to maintain in the region. This includes aligning with non-Western powers such as Russia, which further exacerbates Western concerns. Traore's focus on self-reliance and reducing dependency on Western aid challenges the economic leverage that Western nations have used to shape policies in African countries. By promoting local industries and self-sufficiency, Traore reduces the West's economic grip on Burkina Faso. The Western response to Traore's presidency and policies has been characterized by a lack of acceptance and engagement. Western nations have been reluctant to engage diplomatically with Traore's administration, reflecting their discomfort with his policies and rhetoric. The West uses economic tools, such as withholding aid or imposing sanctions, to pressure Burkina Faso into conforming to their preferred policies. Western media and political discourse often portray Traore negatively, emphasizing his undemocratic rise to power and authoritarian tendencies, while downplaying or ignoring his calls for equitable relationships and anti-colonial stance. And not accepting him as a leader is also a part of the plan. Whether the West accepts Ibrahim Traore as the leader of Burkina Faso or not holds little significance in the broader context of international relations and the future of the country. What truly matters is that many nations, especially those capable of promising a prosperous future for Burkina Faso, do recognize and support his leadership. Several countries, particularly emerging powers and non-Western nations, have shown a willingness to engage with Burkina Faso under Traore's leadership. These countries value mutually beneficial partnerships that respect Burkina Faso's sovereignty and aim to foster genuine economic and developmental progress. Nations such as China and Russia, along with various African and Asian countries, are ready to invest in Burkina Faso's infrastructure, mining sector, and other areas critical to its development.
Ce que nous avons qualifié terrorisme. C'est dans ce sens que lorsque nous prenons par exemple le volet de l'orpaillage, votre thème en dit long sur l'employabilité des jeunes en milieu rural, beaucoup de nos jeunes se retrouvent aujourd'hui sur les sites artisanaux de production, dans des conditions les plus pénibles. C'est peut-être ce qui s'est passé en Europe ou en Amérique dans les années 1800, lorsque les hommes rentrent eux-mêmes dans des galeries, qu'ils creusent eux-mêmes pour sortir le minerai. Nos jeunes continuent de vivre cela, au péril de leur vie. Nous essayons aujourd'hui de moderniser un peu.
These supportive nations bring significant opportunities for Burkina Faso. Their investments can drive economic growth, create jobs, and improve living standards. Moreover, they are often willing to transfer technology and expertise, which can enhance Burkina Faso's capacity for self-reliance and sustainable development. For instance, Partnerships with countries that have successfully harnessed their resources and developed robust economies can provide valuable lessons and support for Burkina Faso's journey. By diversifying its international relationships and reducing dependency on Western nations, Burkina Faso can pursue a more independent and self-determined path. This approach aligns with Traore's vision of an equitable and self-reliant Burkina Faso, free from neo-colonial influences and able to leverage its resources for its prosperity. Do you think the new 10 nations accepting Traore as a leader shows West's opinion is of zero importance? Will the West stop doing propaganda now? Let us know in the comment section. Or do you think propaganda will intensify? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.